Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by Cool70.com, Mana Traders, as well as Twitch subs and Patreon supporters just like you. My name is Evan Irwin. Get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Power Dragon.
What's up, everybody? Good to be here, and hopefully making your post-Valentine's Day better if you're listening to this, or Valentine's Day if you're here live with us today.
Ruben Bressler.
Yeah, what a place to be on Valentine's Day, everybody.
Hanging out with us.
Romantic. That's right.
But I love you guys, so you know.
Yes, it's all love. And if you missed our pre-show, patrons and subs to this channel, to our Twitch channel, get access to that extended version early. We get off our first pick and our code push for Cool Stuff Inc. Use the promo code MagicMics at checkout to get 5% off your next order. Help support the show. Tell them you want to keep us around and stuff. Use that code, promo code MagicMics, and support your favorite streamer at the end of the night to see who we raid, thanks to CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, such as cool new Magic products like Murders at Karloff Manor that we were talking about in the pre-show. You can go check that out. So this week, we kick it off with the first pick of Hasbro's Q4 2023 report. It's, there's something about chickens and coming home to roost and things. Something about reality is kind of setting in many ways. In 2023, Hasbro revenue declined 15%, while Wizards of the Coast and Digital Gaming grew 10%. So basically, once again, Wizards is pulling this company along, and their toys and their games are not, and they had to get rid of their E1 entertainment division thing that completely went sideways, which was unfortunate.
They bought it just before the pandemic, and then, Yeah,
and then, then the CEO died, and he kind of ran that whole thing, which is unfortunate. But, Baldur's Gate 3, thank you. We appreciate them dollars. Otherwise, Tabletop was only up 1%. So that's the whole thing. But they make plenty of money. 36% profit margin is ridiculous, honestly. Dungeons & Dragons killed it. They were up 76%, considering they started the year pretty badly, if you recall.
They started the year in a hole, so.
I will say this, the average person doesn't give a damn about any of that.
Yeah,
that's what these numbers show. And I keep telling people that. We can be as mad as we want, we can talk about whatever we want on social media, but at the end of the day, people were still going into stores and buying D&D books. They're still buying loads of dice and supplements and whatever. Hell, they were still buying Magic. We sold out a Magic event in Chicago in winter.
We're about to talk about that as well. Yeah. So Magic the Gathering grew. Crazy. Yeah, Magic grew 2%, which for what it's worth is fine. We're already up to $1 billion brand. Endless growth is not possible. I'm sorry. Yeah. Capitalism.
2% of 1 billion is a very big number.
Is a very wonderful, large number. It's crazy. He says that 2023 was a banner year for Magic. Lord of the Rings did over $200 million in less than 6 months, if I recall him saying that, which was incredible. And there's not going to be a Lord of the Rings this year. And next year is expected to be the year of growth. Basically, it's Marvel, but we're not going to say it's because of Marvel. But it's because of Marvel. Certainly. And, they expect to grow D&D in 2024. We'll see. They keep hinting about, the biggest update to the rules in, 10 years. Because it's the 50th anniversary of D&D.
5th edition's rolling out.
Yeah, so that's a whole thing, which is cool. Chris Cox said that 5 of the 6 premier Magic sets in 2023 eclipsed $100 million in revenue, which
that's believable. With their lineup they had last year.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings was the best, most successful Magic product ever. It wasn't even close.
No surprise.
As we know, and it was obviously great at bringing in new players, and he expects Final Fantasy and Marvel to do the same, which of course we kind of all do, which was a thing. There was, as usual, a lot of corporate speak. I got to listen to the call, and, it was a lot of making long-term changes to try to make the business basically as profitable and healthy as possible. There was one part, though, that I thought was particularly at least amusing, because after you sit through that for a while, this person got on the phone from one of the big brokerages, and they said, hey, what if you didn't pay out these larger dividends, to all these shareholders? What if you just did a lower dividend but paid off more of your debt? And they shot that down so fast, you make your head spin. They're like, we will refer to our original remarks where we're not doing that.
Well, like a lot of companies, I'm sure a lot of people in the higher seats also have investments in their own companies, which means you get a kickback on those dividends, and you probably
Right.
don't want that to stop.
right. Don't cut off
Yeah.
my money. So
Yeah, that's part of the issue of trying to the goals of people who want a higher stock price and the goals of people who want a better product are not in line with each other. So, they may not be opposed with each other, but they aren't identical. And so that's part of the issue of the current corporate structure of any Fortune 500 company. But I this is the first of these quarterly reports, even though the news is not through the roof, maybe even because of it. This is the first time in a little while where I'm like, I kind of like this quarterly report. Like I'm kind of okay with the message we got, which is we weathered a few storms. We had a little bit of growth. We got some good outreach to people that don't usually play Magic, like people that play Baldur's Gate, and people that like Lord of the Rings. And we're optimistic for future products that will also continue to do that.
It's funny.
Awesome. Cool.
No, that's great. It was, it's funny. One of the things they kind of kept mentioning that was a big hit for last year that I'd never heard. Imagine, like, this is kind of cool because has any of y'all heard of Twister Air? Have you heard of this?
I actually
No.
have heard of that.
Have
What
you
is
now?
that?
Yeah.
It's an AR version of Twister that you use like phones and,
cool.
and like wristbands to like put yourself in like different positions instead of like touching little like different round
That's
circles.
a great idea.
Apparently it worked out great because they mentioned it multiple times as being a hit.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is for as much as people go, see, Hasbro's losing all this money. It's like, well, entertainment's changing. Like as a whole. Like I would expect we'd have heard the same thing from like Mattel, except for Barbie. Barbie's probably the one thing that went ridiculous for them last year for obvious reasons.
Right.
And everything else is probably down. Like, because I told people, like, all my friends' kids, like, I haven't bought them board games or most of them even action figures or whatever. They want other stuff when you ask them, what do you want for your birthday, right? They game differently. There's even been news recently from Sony talking about, like, they're trying to think about what the next version of a PlayStation even looks like, right? Microsoft is saying they're just going to have their titles on all the systems now soon, right? They're not even going to do exclusive stuff anymore. So the way we treat entertainment, everybody's model has to change. Like that's what we've learned over these last probably 36 months is the way people want entertainment is different, and Hasbro's having to deal with that, selling off things, restructuring, and just saying, hey, we're just going to make plans for 2025 at this point.
Yeah,
like let's just see what we can do.
Yeah, they're, and the other half is they have to grow all the time, always, and this is where they have like the corporate restructuring or the corporate corporate refinement plan or something, aka lay off 1,000 people and just call it something nice.
Yeah.
So because that will certainly boost numbers if you cut people from the bottom line.
This is part of the problem I have. And in general, again, like we're talking about pretty much any large company, especially that has shareholders and whatever, is the idea of like having to grow every single year is kind of silly when like
it's wild.
If you still made, let's say you make another $1.5 billion or whatever it is next year and you don't show any growth, you still made $1.5 billion at, with Wizards saying it's, 30% profit or whatever it is, right?
That's
like operating
huge.
margin.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's like you still made a pile of money, right? Like, and this year, let's say the sets are great, but they're not Lord of the Rings great. You still probably had a badass year. But people are going to look and go, well, why didn't you have a $200 million set? I was like, man, I don't know. We had a $180 million one, though.
We didn't have a Lord of the Rings. We didn't have the number one fantasy property of all time partner with us.
Yeah, it's just a silly logic that holds. And, we're not going to have a Baldur's Gate every year because it takes 4 to 5 years to make one of those.
Yes, it does.
Right?
So
that's just not a thing. But people are going to look at the bottom line and say, well, why wasn't D&D bigger than it was last year? And it's like, hell, we had a game we partnered with that did damn near $800 million.
Yeah. And that could have been what they called like the big D&D growth, by the way. They could have sort of attributed that Baldur's Gate action in there. But either way, I think a lot of at least what I got out of it was that like y'all need to prepare that this might not be as good as last year. Like,
and rightfully so. It can be a great year and just not meet 2023 because you don't have 2 blockbuster hits.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's why I like the announcement is like tempering expectations for once in our lives with these quarterly announcements of like, quarter over quarter, we're setting all these records, and oh, by the way, we fired everybody. Like for once in my life, they were like, maybe we won't for a second.
I mean, and we'll see. It's funny now looking at our first release of the year. They have basically broken their streak of bangers that start the year off, because we had Kamigawa, which was incredible, Phyrexia, which was also fantastic, and Murs of Carlo. It's whatever. It's fine.
Is it not selling very well?
It's selling okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
fine.
It's okay.
Like, that's kind of it.
It's not as good as Kamigawa.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. It's not a disaster, you know what I mean? But it's just,
Sure.
It's fine. You know what I mean? And generally you don't want 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, right? You want higher up the chain. And so when it does okay, that there's not a lot of excitement there, but there will be.
To me, though, it's also
forward.
timing, because we talk about, like, this set's only going to have, 10 weeks or something, 9 weeks, like, to itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we're on to Thunder Junction.
It doesn't
So
even
it's
have
like,
that. Fallout's next week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Right.
also that, yeah.
Right. And like for me, in terms of like marketing Magic and what I put in front of people, murders ain't going to be there very long. I'm just going to be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
If we had more Clue, we would sell more of that, because people love the hell out of that thing. But the main set, it's okay, But like, we're looking forward to Fallout, right? We're looking forward to Outlaws at this point, because murders kind of came and murders kind of went,
Though I will say this about murders. I imagine in about 12 to 18 months, as people are playing more of those cards in Standard, people are going to come looking for a lot of those cards that haven't picked them up right now.
It's a deep set. I will say that. There's a lot of weird hidden gems, I think, in
For
there.
sure.
But we're going to move on to the first pick here to gather the townsfolk, thanks to our sponsor, Mana Traders, the best tool to enhance your Magic Online experience. Use the code MagicMikes_T84, MagicMikes_T84 for 10% off your next subscription with Mana Traders, and tell them we sent you, and we appreciate the support. Now, so something I've been working on for a very, very long time finally came to fruition just yesterday, which is CommandFest are coming back. Yay! Let's go.
Nice.
And Cool Stuff Inc. is now branding as Cool Stuff Events, because we're not just doing CommandFest Orlando anymore, y'all. We're doing CommandFest Dallas, and we're doing CommandFest Atlanta. So that's going to be super rad. So yeah, April 19th through 21st in Dallas. Very cool stuff. Lots of cool people. Maldhound will be there. He's the hot new stuff.
Cool stuff.
Oh, I know, right? Lots of cool people will be there. Really neat stuff. We're doing this really like this promo coin thing that has like, it's a treasure coin with a money bag on one side, the Planeswalker symbol on the other.
Okay.
Very cool. Very nice.
So you can do your coin flips pretty easily.
Sure.
I like that.
And we give them, for certain events that you play in, you'll get one for free. So that'll be fun. And lots of neat people there, which is great. Z-Bex will be back. Z-main character Maldhound. Nerd Girl is going to be there as well. Gerald Threat, which I haven't seen in any event recently anyway. Andrew Marr, same thing. He's kind of a hard-to-find artist. So yeah, plenty of cool people there. Check it out. CommandFest, CoolStuffEvents.com. And you can find info on CommandFest Dallas. And later we will have details on Atlanta, as that's coming in June.
Amazing.
June 14th to 16th. So yeah.
Yeah, so the first salvo of Command Fests are Dallas, San Francisco, Birmingham, England, and Beijing, China on that weekend of April 19th to 21st. That Dallas, Texas one with Cool Stuff Inc. being on there. Then there's another bunch, May, June, July, August, from Cool Stuff, Laughing Dragon, Face to Face Games, and Kadu.
Well, China gets 3 events, which is pretty sweet.
That's
That's kind of a rare thing, but China's going to have 3 different events from between now and the end of summer.
It's true.
There's going to be one in Sydney, Australia, in the middle of July at Good Games, or presented by Good Games. That's the middle of winter, by the way, in Australia.
for them.
So that'll be a nice one. And then we've also got one from IK Entertainment taking place in Germany. So lots of great Command Fests coming up in the new year.
But this is probably the best spread of events we've seen too, as far as getting Magic events in front of maximum number of people, right? Like even in the US, you've got them coast to coast, covering a whole bunch of different areas, right? You've got them in China, you've got them in Germany, you got them in Australia,
England.
Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. And they said there's more coming. to finish off the year. So we'll probably see some in the fall, kind of like they did last year.
Yeah, and and it's cool. There's different challenges when you have an event that's in your backyard, like CommandFest Orlando versus CommandFest Dallas. Prepping for that stuff, getting that stuff in order is neat and fun, and I love hyping events and planning out those things and marketing those and getting those people all excited and making all that stuff happen. And that leads kind of directly into, and I'm going to jump back just a second here. It leads directly into the fact that MagicCon Chicago is sold out. And y'all, I'm not talking about like you just can't get tickets. I'm talking about everything. Every side event is sold out. Everything that you can pre-register for is sold out. Like it's gone, like all of it. So like there is a fervor. People do want events. Crazy. Yeah. And like the need is there. The want is there. I think we have 100% moved on from the pandemic at this point. And like it's full bore into CommandFest or into MagicCon rather.
But that's a lie because Magic's dying.
Oh wait, everybody gets to kill Magic as a treat, right? Rosewater did it. Some streamers did it. I think I did it one point in the late 2000s.
Yeah, it's
we all kill it eventually.
Hasbro just did it in our first story.
Yeah. They're busy doing it right there, so that's great. But yeah, fantastic news coming out of that, and that's just success problems. You know what I mean? Like there's no events I can sign up for. I'm like, everyone wanted to go to all of them.
Yeah, tough beats.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, I get it. You may not have had your funds until the week or two before or whatever, but like, if stuff sold out 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, like that's, that's a little bit late to be signing up for some things.
Yeah, there you go. So, cool. Move on here into a really interesting announcement from the Commander Rules Committee at MTG Commander on Twitter. Yes, Twitter. Where they announced they're going to reveal the contents of a secret lair drop called Sheldon's Spellbook, benefiting a great cause. The stream starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. That's February 15th. And at twitch.tv/CommanderERRC. And I definitely am going to be interested and want to check that out. The fact that, Sheldon did leave such an incredible mark on the community, I think that's amazing. This is the part where I go like, Wizards, could you please not just put like X, up for sale and then have them sell out in like 3 hours? Because
I can actually answer this question for you.
Oh, good.
Because randomly, you have a member of the Commander Advisory Group sitting right here.
Hey-o!
Yeah, so actually, it is going to be one of the ones that's going to be printed to order, from what I'm told. Like, so there will be the preview on Thursday, and I believe there's supposed to be an announcement on Friday.
Okay.
The official thing, and then it's supposed to go live a few days after that, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's supposed to have a window, and I think it's going to be like the 3 or 4 week previously normal window. Mm-hmm. That you can go in and buy, and they didn't tell me a number, so I'm assuming
it's fine.
5 or 10 sets, whatever you want.
It's not print or it's print to order is all I wanted to hear, because I would just hate the fact that like I want this because I knew Sheldon and I would like to have something that represents him, like back here in the the set that I have. I think that would be super rad.
I'm just saying, you would have had to have Detective Prof come after me if I couldn't get my hands on something.
So that's big news.
That's great news.
Yeah, that's awesome news. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's actually fantastic. So, super excited there. We'll see what comes of it, but I expect it to do great. There was a little bit of a small story. It's just a great little bit. If you look back at the card of Yoshimaru, Ever Faithful, he was Ever Faithful, waiting there. Day after day, he sat there knowing that the Wanderer would soon be back for him. And so there's a new version I'm going to bring it up here on the screen if you're watching the video version. And sure enough, there's the Wanderer, and they would never again be parted after she came back for Yoshimaru.
Amazing.
Man, that's like long-term storytelling.
What a good happy ending. Yeah. I'm so pleased.
Yeah, this is from a secret lair that they're doing, and it's lovely, and you can't not note how cool this is, and it's great. So, love that stuff. All right, let's move on here to Desperate Ravings. Talked about this a little bit in the pre-show. Everyone hates Aftermath. Everyone hated it. Everyone really hated it. It sold terribly. It tested worse than anything they've ever tested before in terms of set ranking. And it was just a disaster. And but here was the thing. when they were talking about next year's sets, where they were talking about these like Beyond boosters or whatever, they were pretty close to Aftermath boosters, at least I felt. But suddenly the Assassin's Creed set is now 100 cards instead of just 50. And suddenly there was supposed to be an Aftermath set for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which got canceled. And now is going to be the bonus sheet for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So we're going to have sets with the 2 different set codes in the packs as a result. So, okay. They pivoted. The whole point was that they pivoted from a bad idea and they bought into early, and you got to see that pivot, and you're going to see that pivot moving forward.
To me, that's kind of what we should want to happen. You try an experiment, even though we out of the gate thought it was going to be a bad idea. But hey, I get it. You try it.
Yeah.
You realize it's an abysmal failure.
Yeah.
You at least went, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that again.
Right.
Let's go ahead and clean up some things that are coming in 2024 so we don't piss more people off.
Right.
Like, I'm okay with that.
Should be fine. I think it was a good idea to pull it, and they can't.
But I like them trying. I always like them going for these weird changes. Telling a story in a Magic set is hard, and they wanted to give a shot at how to tell the story more linearly than all at one time.
Right.
And they gave it an effort, and it didn't work. And that's fine.
It's all good. Look, they can't all be jump starts, all right? They can't all be like, whoa, this is some crazy idea that's now the coolest thing ever. But sometimes the crazy idea that was a little too crazy, and we got to move on. Did y'all know that Magic Arena has a full replay feature that you can use whenever you want, basically through their debug features? These are developer tools for all intents and purposes. But you can turn on your debug feature, and then once you do enable match recording, you can go and view all your replays. It's kind of incredible.
Weird.
And it's taken many years for people to find this. I'm certainly bookmarking this. I think this is brilliant. I don't know I don't know where you can go with this. I don't know if you're able to share the replay files around or whatever. I think that would be kind of neat, or people who are doing coverage or something. But, the fact that BT Dubs, and Pharmacist Judge does note 17 Lands has had replays, for a while, and Magic is just a series of turns where we do things. But, but inside the client, automatic already there, you didn't need a third party, a website or a tracker or whatever. I thought it was kind of cool. Who knew, right? So that was kind of neat.
Very interesting. It's just been sitting there. They didn't advertise it.
Nope. They hadn't said. As far as I know, Wizards hasn't responded. I haven't checked recently, but I didn't see them say anything. And it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't
break anything for you to have access to it.
Doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't bring anything. It's kind of cool. I think that's rad. And again, that was already happening with trackers, so it's not like this, it's not this breakthrough in technology. It's just the technology's already there, which is cool. And it's something we talked about earlier, which was the secret layers are selling out, and that made me worried about the future secret layers, like Sheldon's thing. But I also think, again, I think there's a middle ground here that I feel like they want to find, which is they don't want to sell out in 6 hours, but they don't want to make it a month-long thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that window should change a little bit, but, I don't know. It's certainly working. They're selling out of what they're making.
Yeah, if something sells out in, I don't know, let's say 5 to 7 days, that feels okay, right? Usually enough for people to hit a payday somewhere in the middle or whatever, or save up some money because it's coming next week or whatever. And that's fine. If you have some weird schedule, you work during the day, you may not get home till the evening, you have a chance to buy it, no problem. I think the only concern is when it's less than a day, less than 5 or 6 hours.
Right.
I mean, if you're stuck at work or you can't take a lunch break or whatever, you just miss out on the item. Right. And that sucks. So, if the quantity is big enough to at least get through a couple days, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And for what it's worth, sort of on a marketing psychological scale, you want it to sell out. You want some people to go, dang, I missed out. But not every person who caught it 6 hours and 1 minute later. You know what I mean? You're just wait, it was on sale today? It's what? It's gone?
Because my argument is if you sell out in 5 hours, you do have to have that real conversation of, hey, was there another $50,000, $100,000 we just left on the table?
Right.
Because if we'd have made this to a 48-hour window, how much more money would we have made? Like that's a real conversation when something sells out that fast.
It's wild to me that the answer to the long ordering period wasn't just to shorten it, not print X and then sell X and it's gone. No, just shorten the window. I don't understand, because if anything, that's what they started with. Remember, The Walking Dead was 1 week, right?
Right.
I think it also depends on the products themselves too. Like if it's some of this random stuff we have right now, like all right, and if it's lasting 2 or 3 days, all right, cool.
Or if it's like the horoscope signs. Ugh.
Yeah, but like we're saying with the Sheldon thing, a ton of people are going to want to buy that, right? So if that had been a pre-printed quantity, you'd have had people, probably just like raving in the streets about it.
It would have been rough.
Crazy.
It'd have been rough.
So this one, you leave it open. I don't know. Let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Like that's cool. Everybody has a chance to get their fill, and nobody should feel left out or upset if they don't get it.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, because Sheldon's Secret Lair is such a weird, unique product. There's never been a Secret Lair unique product. Any match where I'm literally thinking, I'm like, was there been anything beyond like Garfield versus whoever it was back in the day?
That beat down box.
Yeah, the beat down box. Where it was like this is a product about a person, and so regardless of how many it sells, I would highly suggest everyone snag a copy, because it's such a unique, like special item about someone who is their stature is never going to lower. You know what I mean? He's always going to be vaulted as the Godfather Commander.
Going to the cancer center as well. So
nice.
I mean, in terms of, and I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here. I think I'm accurately representing, let's call it the board state. If you were to pick the four most important people, we'll do an actual Mount Rushmore, the 4 most important people in the development of Magic the Gathering as it currently sits. It's Richard Garfield, who invented it.
Definite.
It's Mark Rosewater, who's been at the helm forever.
Sure.
After that, it's probably John Finkel and Sheldon Menery.
I think there's an argument, just again, because this is inside baseball, for Bill Rose to be up there with Sheldon. Because Bill Rose hired Mark Rosewater, as I recall.
Yep.
And that was obviously huge. And he was huge in the early stuff. And he's still there, as I understand it. So
that's a good question. Like, because I'm like, Rosewater, yes, for sure.
I mean, as much as I love John Finkel, and friends.
Garfield, 100%. Can't even question that. Like
I think that Sheldon is above anyone else.
Yeah.
Sheldon's third on the list, and then you can have an argument of who's fourth.
Right. The argument is Bill Rose, Finkel. I mean, you can argue
Kai,
the professor for the largest YouTube channel.
Honestly, I might put Atkinson up there, the guy that really pushed Wizards and got it on.
Peter Atkinson is up there.
That would probably be my fourth.
But the point stands that Sheldon is in the top 3 most important.
Yeah, he's one of the 3, I think, undeniable choices.
As it turned out right now.
There's certain people,
I think we can argue our 4th choice, but he's going to be one of the 3 for sure.
Right. And, it's to me, when it is a win date, at some point Rosewater will no longer be in that position. I do hope he gets some kind of like his favorite designs type Secret Lair
recognition of some sort.
Right. Because that kind of work is just incredible. All right, let's move on here to Going Infinite. Some thoughts about things coming in the future. One thing that they did kind of dropped. I don't know if it was random. I don't even know if it was on purpose. But one thing that they did drop during that call for about the financials was started in 2025. At least 2 of each of the premier sets for Magic are going to be Universes Beyond sets. So the Marvel sets, for example, like if they talked about multiple Marvel sets, right? They'll probably multiple Final Fantasy sets at this rate. And who knows what other universes we're going to, but there's a line between we've monopolied too hard or Magic is a game system that works for a lot of cool IPs.
Right.
Right.
This one worries me. I'm on board. I'm ready for them to do this. I think I'm prepared for Magic to try to get as many new fans as they can through other existing IPs.
Sure.
I am worried they're going to run out of gas very quickly because there are not so many IPs as to fuel this announcement for more than 5 years. 10 IPs that are big enough that people will care about.
Well, it doesn't have to be 2 different IPs each year. Like I said, I mean, they're doing like multiple Marvel sets
Sure.
in 2025.
Okay, we get
So-
another Lord of the Rings.
Right.
We get more D&D. I mean, I've gone on
there's
record.
plenty. There's at least 3 more sets worth of 40K stuff.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I love that. Do more 40K.
More 40K. I mean,
More 40K.
they're going to go back to
more
those
Lord of the
wells
Rings,
eventually.
More Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
If they only did that for the rest of time, I'd be okay with it, actually.
You know, there's an interesting thing here because I think some people's concern are just like, oh, well, Magic's going to become about all this stuff and not just the core characters that I like and whatever. And I do get that to a point. But I would challenge anybody to go to an event, go to a game store, whatever, and ask any of the players about your favorite Magic story facts. Most of them don't know that.
Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, and I know it sucks if you're a Vorthos person. I totally understand.
And there's people at
But that's-
Wizards who work on that, right? But
Yeah, but that's the reality. I mean, for all games, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that don't know the story to most. Hell, I've played video games that had a story and cannot tell you the story of those games. Like,
it's fair.
I just enjoy playing it and they're fun, but that's what happens. Like, I've stood in a game store talking about Commander, and the people I was talking to did not know what a game nights was.
Sure.
What is your
Like,
what is your over under on returning to Lord of the Rings? Like, how many years do you think it will take for them to go back and make another Lord of the Rings set?
2026. No, not
What?
yet,
How
'cause
fast?
you still have
That quickly?
Marvel stuff. And,
No,
2027. I give
How
it that
fast is
27.
the cycle?
Damn,
how
really?
How fast does it go from this is an idea I have to printed set in players' hands? Like 3 years?
about
4
3
years?
It's
3.5, 4.
depending
sometimes.
on what it is. Like, because especially you've already done a lot of the research for Lord of the Rings, there's probably half the concepts that never even made a set or whatever.
Sure.
So you're probably looking at like 2 years.
I don't think that's way
Development time.
too soon, in my opinion. I would say 5 years, maybe.
I would put the over under at 3 years from the previous Lord of the Rings set like release. Because as soon as it released,
Mhm.
they were like, oh my God, this is insane. We're getting written up in Kotaku. We have IGN articles. We're the biggest thing in gaming for 2 weeks.
The One
Well,
Ring
part of that
thing.
too was because of the stories around the One Ring.
Right.
Like,
Or-
that got you a lot of press.
And you can only do the One Ring.
That's true.
One
You
Yeah.
time.
can't do the One Ring again. That is true.
And that sold an ungodly amount of product, just to be clear. That sold a crazy amount of product. Until the One Ring was officially found and noted that it was officially found, I mean, collector booster boxes just grew wings, man. It was crazy.
Mhm.
So what I would expect to happen is we're going to have these next couple years and even the year or two after that of, good IPs, Final Fantasies and Marvels and things that are big enough, strong enough to do pretty well. And then you're going to have something that might not be as strong or as well,
Yeah.
right? And that's going to, so we're going to have that sag, and then they're going to kind of get freaked out. And next thing you know, Lord of the Rings, from the fires of Mount Doom or something,
Crawling back.
whatever it
But,
is, because here we
I will
are.
say this too, though. I think entertainment as a whole, as far as gaming stuff, wherever, a lot of it is about crossovers now.
Mhm.
Like,
Sure.
we saw that
Agreed.
all the way back with like Brawl, like
I
Super
mean,
Smash Brothers.
Look at
You know,
Epic,
but-
got $1.5 billion from Disney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got in there with Disney, and you already had the crossover with, Fortnite and Magic and all this other stuff. So like, you kind of just every brand knows that you got to bring people in, and how do you do it? You work with other popular brands. So I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. I mean, we see it with hell. One of my friends plays a lot of Dead by Daylight, and they have every horror character known to man doing crossovers with that. You can
It's
play
true.
Chucky in that game now, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if there's money in it, and everybody
Yeah.
knows it at this point, and fans keep eating it up.
And
So-
they
Yeah.
keep selling.
I mean,
We can cry
That's
about it, but
true.
we keep peeling off $20 bills while we complain. They're going to
Fortnite
the
is
worst-
nothing but
Yeah.
crossovers and skins of like Travis Scott and Darth Vader. So, it is a big business. I will say, Magic better hope that they are not getting into bed with Marvel before Marvel stops being a profitable thing.
Oh,
Because
if anything, I think they're in
all
there
I'm
well.
seeing
Yeah.
is that Marvel is on the downslope and all that stuff. It isn't happening yet. I think it's still going to be great, but
I mean,
But here's the thing. Remember, they also have the Marvel Comics license, not the MCU license, which
Sure,
opens up a lot of room for nostalgia.
it's true.
Sure.
Right? You can do all your favorite New Mutants, X-Men, whatever.
X-Force,
All those-
right?
Yeah, all those
Spider-Man,
fun
Venom, Carnage.
Yep, yep,
Like,
Yeah.
we're going to get all that. And it's going to be super rad. And I'm very
And Marvel
excited about
Snap
that.
is super popular, so that'll keep it in the public
Mhm.
eye also.
And Marvel Snap's super fun too, which is great. So, yeah, overall, and just like Maverick Girl was noting here, we just were talking about how entertainment was changing, right? And consumption was changing.
Mhm.
And we like to mix our chocolate with our peanut butter and put sprinkles on it. And that does sometimes mean that Family Guy plays with Darth Vader, who plays with Silver
Yep.
Surfer or whatever. And it's like, well, and they made fun of this. Remember years ago, this was the punchline of, I attack my Iron Man into your Luke Skywalker. And it's like, dude, we're not that far from any of that.
We're there.
I'm going to block with my Bob's Burgers token. Like, don't make
But
me.
here's the thing, though, right? At the end of the day, how much has that changed people's Commander games?
Right.
People
Zero.
are still out there having fun,
Yeah.
right? People are still enjoying games at their local game store. Like,
Yeah.
we're still playing Magic. They're just different characters on the cards.
And Weapon X, can you imagine? Oh, Weapon X, please.
That would be kind of cool.
All of the Logan versions, or maybe it's a flip version that turns into
And
Wolverine.
let's also be honest,
Oh.
too. Like, people that complain seem to only complain until it's a license they enjoy.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then they're
You're
cool
like,
with
oh,
it.
how can we do this stuff with Fortnite, whatever? But then like, oh, Street Fighter, I'm in. Give me 3 sets. Right? Like, so it's like until it's a thing you like, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm all in. Let's go buy it, right?
Yeah.
So it's whatever. We're just being gamers and fanboys. It's fine.
It'll be fine as we
Be fun.
turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, today is Valentine's Day, so tell me, how would you ask out your MTG Valentine, Ruben?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, you are a 10. Wait, hold on. You're at 10. In fact, you're dead. So we should move to game 2.
And it's over. Power Dragon?
Yeah, that relationship was over about as fast as it started.
Story of my life.
Well, how about I choose you? So you have to discard, and I'll lose 2. Your go.
Yeah, you could.
My thoughtseize are always with you.
Yep.
Roses are red. Violets are red. Everything's red. Activate Grindstone. Just done. We're just done.
It's a classic.
We painted it.
That might have
We
that
grabbed some.
might have been a Maverick Girl tweet from like 8 years ago that I remembered. I may be misappropriating it, but I saw that and it's perfect.
It's funny when
That's
people,
funny.
they're like, oh, I'm going to come up with MTG Valentine's. Yo, we've been doing that since like 2009 or something.
Oh, I know. Dude,
We've
it's
been around
crazy
a
to be
while.
on social media and you see people sharing jokes like they're original. And I'm like, I swear I saw that like 15, 20 years
No,
ago.
man, nothing's new under the sun. It's fine.
We just
But
meme
you know,
it
you
and
got
we run
tens
it
of
back.
thousands of people making a lot of the same jokes. Eventually, some of them are going to come up similar.
And that ends the live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Power Dragon.
Hey, it's always good to be here. Be sure to review and leave all the 5 stars and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks for spending this very romantic evening with the Magic Mikes. This is the wrong Magic Mikes for a Valentine's Day show,
Do that.
actually,
Do that.
now that I'm thinking about it. Get your tickets for the Vegas show.
There you go.
MIKES, Magic Mike's show.
Nice. Let's move on here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, Mana Traders, my co-host, Power Dragon, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. Hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us on our exclusive member Discord, live on twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, live or taped on our YouTube. Follow us at Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, and join our TikTok at Magic Mikes Cast. Yeah, a TikTok. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.